Hi guys, Gary here from Discover On again. This video today is all about the more well-known food and drink from my home country, the United Kingdom. Some facts and kind of amusing information about some of the foods, some of my favourite foods from the UK that perhaps you didn't know, you might find interesting or even funny. So I'm just going to pick a few of my favourite foods, classic English foods, just to give you a bit of information about it. First of all, fish and chips. There's nothing more English than fish and chips. Even Michael Jackson liked them with mushy peas every time he visited the UK. But did you know though that the origins of this classic English dish are actually from outside Britain? The potato is thought to have been brought to England from the New World in the 17th century by Sir Walter Raleigh. But it's believed that the French actually invented the fried potato chip. Around the same time, fried fish was introduced to Britain by Jewish refugees from Portugal and Spain. So who had the bright idea to marry fish with chips remains a subject of fierce debate, fierce controversy, and we'll probably never know for sure. But it's safe to say it was somewhere in England, and whether it was up north or down south, we don't know. Arguments will always rage about that. The second dish I'd like to talk about is another classic English dish, bangers and mash. Bangers and mash, or sausages and mash, is a traditional British dish that consists of sausages and mashed boiled potatoes. Bangers and mash originated in 1919, around the time of the First World War in Britain. Sausages were made when there were meat shortages, of course because of the war, and they were called bangers because they were liable to explode when cooked on a high heat. This was because the sausages had to be filled with cheaper ingredients and more water than usual, which made them liable to explode. They're sometimes served with a rich onion gravy or fried onions, and they're absolutely wonderful. Another of my particular favourites, the full English breakfast. You may have heard about this. It's the classic English breakfast, also known as a fry-up, and can only truly be described as a hearty and substantial breakfast, ever since it became popular in early Victorian times in England and Britain. I love this awesome breakfast. It consists of bacon, sausages, fried bread, mushrooms, tomatoes, eggs, black pudding. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Black pudding is actually made from blood and fat. Sounds terrible, but tastes great. Also, you might have with your breakfast baked beans, sometimes hash browns, which of course are possibly American in origin, which is potato. So, you may think this sounds terribly unhealthy. Perhaps it is, but there's nothing better than a full English breakfast and a cup of English tea on a Saturday or Sunday morning. It will cure your hangover for sure. Yorkshire pudding, another dish, Yorkshire pudding. Yorkshire pudding is not actually sweet, although it sounds like it might be. It's a traditional British roast dinner accompaniment, and your British roast dinner, the Sunday lunch, perhaps as we would call it, would not be complete without at least one Yorkshire pudding, which is filled up with gravy, which you can put all of the other bits of your dinner in. Beautiful. It's a savoury pudding made from a mix of egg, flour and milk, designed to be served with meat, vegetables and gravy. If you're visiting the English county of Yorkshire for the first time, make sure you treat yourself to a meal in a traditional English pub on a Sunday to sample it for yourself. An honourable food mention lastly should go to pies and pasties, a delicious way to eat savoury meats and vegetables in a pastry case. They're absolutely awesome. So I want to mention a couple of drinks now, classic British drinks. Tea, I mentioned tea briefly just now. How English is tea? Although the custom of drinking tea dates back to the 3rd millennium BC in China. It wasn't until the mid-17th century that it first appeared in England. Interestingly, it was London coffee houses that were responsible for introducing tea to England around 1657. It used to be taken as afternoon tea in Britain with sandwiches or cake. Sadly, these days, afternoon tea is just an occasional luxury for the British. There's many varieties of tea, of course. I personally like extra strong tea. I think you may call it, outside the UK, breakfast tea, extra strong with boiling water, and just let it brew for 5 to 8 minutes or so. Just add a little bit of milk. Cider. We need to talk about at least one alcoholic drink from Britain. Cider is a classic English drink made from fermented apple juice. The best cider is made from 100% freshly pressed apple juice, fermented slowly for months and then aged in oak barrels again for months, sometimes even years. The Romans and the Vikings are known to have enjoyed drinking cider, as did the Normans who invaded Britain in 1066. Cider traditionally originates from and is still made, of course, in the southwest of England in a English county called Somerset, and it can be incredibly strong, dangerous even, and should be drunk with caution, so be careful. A Bloody Mary. Now, a Bloody Mary is said to be the perfect hangover cure, made from vodka, tomato juice and seasonings like Tabasco or Worcester sauce, just a little bit. It's said to have been named after the Catholic Queen Mary, nicknamed Bloody Mary thanks to her relentless pursuit of Protestant dissenters, of whom nearly 300 were burned at the stake. The tomato juice in the drink is said to resemble the blood that she spilled. Okay guys, that's it for today. So there's some food and drink just to get your thoughts going. Anyway, see you again next time. Bye for now.